deputy froze the second he saw it. Karen's $90,000 Escalade suspended on a stump, rear wheels dangling like a dropped toy. Karen was screaming, the wind was kicking dust across the road, and my body cam was already recording every frantic breath she took. The deputy circled the SUV, slowly, fingertips hovering over the spotless paint, trying to understand how a luxury tank ended up perched like a confused rhinoceros without a single scratch. He finally looked at me. "Marcus, what happened here?" I took a sip of coffee, nodded toward the hanging SUV, and said, "Well, that depends. How far back do you want the truth to start?" She didn't ease onto my land, she invaded it. The first time I ever saw Karen, her white Escalade, was parked sideways across my farm road, blocking it completely while she held her phone up like she was filming a makeup tutorial. She didn't glance at the private property, no easement sign 3 feet from her bumper. She didn't even look guilty. Her window rolled down 2 inches, just enough for her voice to slip through like a blade. "I won't be long. This is the only spot with good 5G. HOA business. No apology. No acknowledgement. This road kept my cattle equipment and entire livelihood moving. Just entitlement wrapped in expensive sunglasses." I kept my tone calm. "Ma'am, this isn't part of any HOA. You'll need to move." She lowered her sunglasses a fraction. "You must be new." That was her whole personality: dismiss first, ask never. And her motive was just as clean: control what wasn't hers simply because no one had stopped her yet. But I wasn't new. I'd left 25 years of corporate burnout behind to work this land. I knew every inch of this road, and she was trespassing on all of it. She waved me off with 2 fingers. "I'll park here whenever I need to. Don't make things difficult." That word. The one people use right before they start a war they're not ready for. The pattern started quietly. 3 days after that first run-in, her Escalade slid onto my farm road again. Same angle, same entitlement, same shadow under my oak tree. No live stream this time. She reclined her seat, AC, blasting stainless cup, sweating on her console while I tried to haul feet across the property. I walked up with my body cam running. "Ma'am, this is active equipment access." She didn't sit up, didn't mute her soft pop music, just flicked her hand like she was brushing off dust. "I told you HOA has historical access." It wasn't true. I'd already checked the deed the night before, every clause, every map, 0 easements. But facts didn't matter to someone who viewed boundaries as optional. Because I worked from home, now handling ranch tasks at unpredictable hours, her Escalade could block my path at the worst possible moment. And she didn't care. That was the part that stuck. I photographed the position of her SUV, time-stamped it, and stepped back. She didn't move for another hour. Not until she got bored. That was her first test, and it wasn't her last. Her next move wasn't just irritating, it was reckless. I was tightening the west fence line when the sound hit like a gunshot, one long, furious blast of her horn. My cattle scattered instantly. Calves bolted. A pregnant heifer crashed against a trough with a metallic clang that made my stomach drop. I jogged around the barn and found Karen blocking the entire road, leaning on her horn with theatrical disgust. "You need to move your tractor," she barked. I stared at her. "The tractor isn't running." "The keys are." I honked. She snapped, obviously. Behind me, I heard the heifer's low, painful bellow. When I turned, she limped away from the trough, favoring her back leg. "She's hurt," I said. Karen lifted her sunglasses an inch, shrugged, and said, "They're cows. They'll get over it." Something in me went cold. Not hot anger, just the solid weight of a man realizing he'd been trying polite words on a brick wall. Her horn wasn't a misunderstanding. It was a message: my convenience over your land, your livestock, your life. She drove off like nothing happened. But the heifer didn't. The storm rolled in that night like a punishment. By dusk, purple clouds stacked over the tree line, lightning stitched the horizon, and wind hammered the barn doors. The injured heifer paced in circles, sides heaving, too early, too stressed, too much. By the time the rain hit, she went down in the mud, contractions ripping through her. I called Dr. Patterson. "Load her up," he said. "Now." I hooked the trailer, coaxed her inside, and floored the truck toward the road, only to slam the brakes so hard, mud splashed over the hood. Karen's Escalade sat sideways across the entrance. Hazards blinking, doors locked, empty. I ran to the window, pounding through sheets of rain. She cracked it 2 inches. "Do you mind? I'm checking flood levels." "My heifer is in labor," I shouted. "Move your SUV." She rolled her eyes. "My tires aren't going into that mud." Window up, heater on. While she sat warm and dry, the heifer collapsed in the trailer behind me, groaning in agony. I sprinted back, crawled inside, and found the calf breech. Patterson's voice crackled through the phone. "Marcus, if you don't turn that calf, you lose both. There's no time for anger when life is on the line. Just hands, muscle, and the hope you're not too late." I turned the calf, pulled, prayed. A tiny gasp finally filled the trailer. Karen never moved. The next morning, while the storm still dripped off the barn roof, Deputy Trujillo drove out to handle my trespass report. He inspected the ruts, her tires carved, reviewed the footage on my body cam, and exhaled long and slow. "She blocked you during an emergency, yes, sir." He walked toward her usual shade spot just as her Escalade rolled in again like the night before hadn't happened. She lowered her window with that same lazy entitlement. "Ma'am," he said, "you've been warned. This is private property. Well, the developers cannot grant access to land they don't own." Her confidence cracked for the first time. "One more incident," he said firmly, "and you get cited." She drove off in a huff. But the look she gave me over her sunglasses wasn't fear. It was challenge. She weaponized the HOA 3 hours later, arriving with a convoy of luxury cars, 3 board members, and a phone camera pointed squarely at my face. This wasn't about roads anymore. It was about dominance. And she wanted witnesses. The HOA entourage lined up on my land like they were claiming territory for a new subdivision. Karen strutted forward, chin high. "We are resolving a community access issue," she announced. "There is no community access," I said. Clipboard lady parroted some nonsense about an emergency overflow route. Golf shirt guy told me to calm down. Lanyard man started recording like he was filming a documentary called How to Misread a Deed. Karen made her final move. "I'm leaving my vehicle here," she declared as evidence, "and if you touch it, I'll bury you in court." She locked the doors with a triumphant double beep, tossed the keys in her purse, and left in someone else's car, her SUV, sitting exactly where I'd measured her patterns for weeks. Predictable. Repeatable, perfectly positioned. When the property cleared, I walked the perimeter of the Escalade, slowly documenting every angle. Then I pulled out soft recovery straps, axle wraps, and the tractor I trusted more than any lawyer. No dents, no scratches, no damage, just physics. Legal, clean, and undeniable. By sunrise, her Escalade hung exactly where the deputy found it, immobile, untouched, and sitting in the only place she couldn't ignore. The war she wanted had finally reached the part she didn't expect, the part where I stopped playing defense. Karen arrived the next morning in a silver Lexus like a siren fired from suburbia. She barely let the door open before she started screaming. "What did you do to my Escalade? This is criminal." I stood beside the barn, sipping black coffee, body cam blinking. "Good morning," I said. She circled the SUV in frantic loops, gasping as if oxygen owed her an apology. Get it down, I didn't damage it," I replied. "You can check." Her answer was a howl. "I'm calling the police. They're already on the way," I said. I reported an abandoned vehicle blocking access. Right then, Deputy Trujillo's Tahoe eased up the drive. He stepped out, hands on his duty belt, calm as a Sunday sunrise. He didn't look at me first. He walked straight to the Escalade, ran his fingers along the bumper without touching, crouched to inspect the axle straps, and tapped the stump supporting the rear frame. Finally, he straightened and said, "Ma'am, there's no damage." Karen's face contorted disbelief, trembling through her voice. "Then arrest him." He hoisted my SUV into a tree. The deputy held up one hand. "Ma'am, this is private property. You were warned. Today you're getting citations, not victories." She staggered back like someone had slapped her, and the crowd she expected to cheer her on wasn't here. It was just her, and the truth she couldn't scream her way past. Karen started filming herself immediately. Shaky, dramatic mascara streaked. "This man trapped my car and attacked me," she wailed. Before she could build momentum, I held up my phone. "Deputy, I have full documentation." Trujillo nodded. "Let's see it." I opened the body cam archive. Time-stamped. Clear audio. Clear video. It showed everything Karen blocking the road during the storm. Me begging her to move. The injured heifer groaning in pain. Her refusing, locking the doors, sitting warm and dry. Her abandoning the Escalade voluntarily the next day. Her HOA entourage threatening legal action. My step-by-step, damage-free lift. The deputy's jaw set tighter with each clip. He didn't need commentary. Truth plays better without narration. Then I brought out the binder. Thick, organized, incontrovertible. Inside were photos of every trespass. Footage from the storm. Vet statements. Tire track documentation. HOA chat logs leaked overnight. Financial spreadsheets showing she used HOA funds for personal spa trips and car maintenance. Deputy Trujillo flipped through them slowly. "Ma'am," he said, "you lied to your board and to law enforcement. Karen's eyes darted wildly. Those documents, they're fake, they're stolen. No, I said quietly. Your own assistant treasurer emailed them to me. The deputy closed the binder. This is going to court. Karen's breath hitched. This isn't fair, she whispered. But fairness wasn't the problem. Proof was. The courtroom smelled faintly of old paper and older mistakes. I sat at the respondent's table binder, ready boots cleaned. Karen burst in seconds before the hearing started, new lawyer scrambling behind her, panic written across both their faces. Judge Calloway didn't waste a heartbeat. We will begin, he said, tapping his pen once. Karen's attorney stood. Your Honor, my client is the victim of... The judge lifted a finger. Do you have a deed showing easement rights? Silence. Do you have evidence the respondent damaged her vehicle? More silence. Karen rose abruptly. He trapped my Escalade and terrorized me. The judge cut her off. Miss Salters, the sheriff's report states the vehicle is unharmed. Your own video shows you abandoning it. Sit. She sat. Hard. Then he looked at me. Mr. Chen, your evidence. I placed the binder before him. He opened it, and the next 90 seconds dismantled her entire empire. He lingered on the financial spreadsheets. Miss Salters, is this your signature? Her voice cracked. It was a draft. He closed the binder decisively. Miss Salters, you falsely claimed authority over land you do not own, endangered livestock, misled your HOA, and misused community funds. Karen swayed in her chair. The court rules in favor of Mr. Chen. Your citations stand. You will reimburse all recovery expenses. You are removed from HOA leadership effective immediately. These financial documents are being forwarded to the district attorney for investigation. Karen finally broke. No, he humiliated me. He ruined me. Judge Calloway didn't blink. No, ma'am. Your actions ruined you. His gavel struck once, and the war she started ended with her own echo. The courthouse doors swung shut behind me with a soft wooden thud, and for the first time in months, the air around me felt quiet. Honest. Quiet. Not the tense waiting that lived on my land every time Karen's engine hummed down my road. I walked across the gravel lot, climbed into my truck, and drove straight home without turning on the radio. No victory music, no celebration. Just the long, steady rumble of the engine and a strange lightness in my chest I hadn't realized I'd been craving. By the time I pulled into the driveway, the afternoon sun stretched across the pasture in warm gold lines. The storm-worn mud had hardened into dark grooves, crackled like old leather. I stepped out, boots crunching softly, and the farm greeted me the way it always had, without asking questions, without demanding anything except presence and effort. That was enough. The heifer stood near the fence closest to the house, her calf wobbling beside her on new legs. I leaned against the porch post and watched them in the quiet. No horns, no SUVs, no HOA entourages acting like they owned the horizon. Just whined in the corn stalks and the soft grunt of a healthy calf nudging its mother. The kind of peace nobody notices until it's taken away. Behind me, the screen door creaked open. Dr. Patterson stepped out, wiping his hands on a towel. Figured I'd wait till you got back, he said. How's she doing? I asked, nodding toward the heifer. Stronger than she looks, he replied. Calf stubborn in a good way. They'll both be fine. I breathed out slowly. That single sentence did more for me than any court ruling ever could. Across the yard, tire tracks still scarred the dirt where Karen had left her Escalade. A tow company had finally come under her signature and at her expense and winched it off the stump with 2 cranes and a whole lot of complaining. Now the stump sat bare again, sunlit and harmless. A landmark instead of a battlefield. Patterson followed my gaze. She's not coming back, he said. Not after what happened in that courtroom. No, I replied. She's not. He gave a small nod, one part approval, one part understanding. Then he climbed into his truck, tipped 2 fingers off his cap, and drove away. The moment his taillights disappeared around the bend, the land settled fully like a long exhale. A soft buzz vibrated in my pocket. My phone lit up with messages from neighbors in the nearby subdivision. We had no idea what she was doing. Thank you for standing up to her. That could have been any of us. HOA is holding an emergency meeting. She's out. I read them, let the words land, and tucked the phone back into my pocket. Vindication was nice, but it wasn't the reason I'd fought. It was never about winning. It was about stopping someone who treated boundaries like suggestions and lives mine, my animals, my lands as props in her personal story. I walked down the fence line, running my hand across the top rail. The boards were warm from the sun. A few needed tightening. A hinge on the gate squeaked. Work waited, the good kind, the kind that doesn't care about HOA politics or courtroom speeches, the kind that keeps a man steady. As I reached the corner post, the calf let out a tiny, uncertain moo and tried to chase a grasshopper. Its legs wobbled like wet stilts. The heifer nudged it back toward her with a gentle shove. Life unbothered. I stood there a long moment, breathing in earth and quiet, and the relief of a season finally ending. No SUVs rumbling toward me. No threats hidden behind sunglasses. No woman shouting, "Don't make things difficult," like it was a warning from a throne she never earned. I wasn't angry anymore. There was nothing left to push back against. The land was mine again, clean, silent, and unclaimed by anyone who thought convenience outranked respect. I turned toward the house, ready to put away the binder of evidence, ready to leave it all behind. The porch steps groaned under my weight the same way they always had. Familiar, solid, pure. I set my hat on the railing and let the breeze move through the brim. Some folks learn from warnings. Some learn from consequences. And some I looked out across the quiet pasture, the healed heifer, the calf testing freedom. Some only learn when the world finally refuses to move for them. The wind carried the last of the storm smell away. And just like that, everything was right where it should be.